Yes. And we are live. Woo! Yes. I am so happy you're here, Kathy.
I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank
Oh,
you for the invite.
of course. I always have this all the people that I want to invite, that I want to talk to. And of course I could do this like every day. I literally could do this 5 days a week and never tire of the guests and people. Because, in our business, we have a lot of characters.
Yeah, that's right. But also with your current schedule, you literally can't do it every day, right? That's
right.
We're just talking about things coming up in the year for you. And it's really exciting. But
it is. I thank you. Thank you. I am excited. Plus my husband would be like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that.
There's that, right?
Exactly. But I'm just trying to find a way to like do it on the road and figure out how, like, when we get live and stuff, or when we're like, I'm somewhere and we're working with other artists or doing projects and stuff, like, how we can.
I have a question for you. Is your husband like down with the whole social media screen time thing? Is that something in his life?
No.
Also for my husband, like, NO, like not in any way, shape, or form.
In any way, shape, or form. Like, hey, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
Yes, Martin is one of the in the Combos crew from Scotland. Represent. Yes. Yeah, my husband does not like social media. He does not like. He barely likes emails. He's a texter. So, but everything else, he is like, you are erasing your life. So
my husband will text, and he also teaches online. He's got students that he's taken to very well, but the whole like everything else, he's like, that's for you.
Right. Exactly. Yes, we're gonna let some people come into the room. Hi, Dave. Shout out. The Convos crew is coming in. Yes, my loyal, my regulars, my ride or dies, as I say.
I love that.
And the Convos crew. I can't wait till we all get together and meet each other.
Hello.
Hi.
How long have you been doing it now? It's more than a year, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were since April 20.
April. Wow.
Yeah. April.
You just got to do it.
Yeah. Angela's was one of the legendary ones of combos too. People loved our combos. But yeah, I've been doing it and going at it. And then I hit a situation where I was like, oh God, I had to start learning music again.
Right. Yeah.
Again, and doing some things. And so oh my gosh, hey Jenny.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm going to be seeing that lady a lot in the next couple of weeks.
Are you? Oh, you have to talk about that.
Yeah. About that, yeah.
Yes.
Rose Gala loading. Yes.
Yes. Well, Kathy, I am so happy you are here. A lot of people know us, and we haven't had insurance. Hey, Brittany. We have Bethany. Sorry, I haven't had my glasses on. My eyes are a mess today because I've been reading so much. I've been studying, so my eyes are a mess. But a lot of I have known you and known of you for a number of years.
Yeah.
And our paths just never crossed. Hey, Nicole. Yeah.
I remember you. I remember you when you did the Met competition, because I was on music staff at the Met at the time. And that's the first time I ever heard you sing. But yeah, our paths didn't take us in the same place, because I went to Houston after that. And you started singing all over the damn place. And
yes. And, well, yeah, started singing, and then the economy, then 2008 happened, and I lost all my work. How that works.
You were like, oh God, that'll never happen again.
Right. Just to think.
Cheers.
Cheers. On that note, welcome to Combos, honey. Cheers. But I had the pleasure of working with Kathy on an incredible piece that we did for Sparks and Warriors Cry, the wonderful organization headed by Martha Gut and Erica Switzer.
Yeah.
And we were doing a program called #MeToo Pathways to Healing, And I was trying to find it. Of course, Martha in her way always is like, we want the artists to sing and, whatever they feel. And, and I could not find repertoire that I thought was appropriate for this particular piece, particularly as being the only Black woman on the program. Yes, Angela. Yes. Oh,
I love you back, Angela Brown.
And we got a commission of a piece called Nobody Knows.
Yeah.
And my dear friend, Mazi Kane, who I grew up with, one of my oldest friends, wrote the poem, and Naila Nombeko was the composer. And when we got this piece,
how do you even say words about it? You came to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I was living at the time, and we worked on it together, and had these 3 days of just there was a lot to sort through. You said something that really stuck with me, which was we got to a place in the text where it was really your reaction was, can I actually get up and sing these words in front of people about sexual assault, about that experience? And you turned and looked at me and said, I sing Tosca. I literally have somebody try to rape me on stage and then I murder him. and that's all fine. But to talk about it for real, to get down, and to do that through the medium of singing and collaborating with another musician. I mean, that was a big topic for us. We do opera, which has got a lot of these kind of stories, but it kind of opened up for me the fact that in opera, there's distance with those stories, right? Mm-hmm. You can get involved with, you do get involved with the emotion, but the emotion's sort of grand. It's also very impressive. Mm-hmm. It's real different to talk about, the hardest experiences of your life. And those are experiences that a lot of us share. And to do it through the medium of your art, I think that was really new for both of us. And one of the things about the last couple of years that has been a part of things heading in a different direction, I think. Would you say that?
Oh, yes. I mean, did we know during that time that COVID was that we would be here right now? We had no idea.
No.
And I wanted to just go back a little bit and say the reason why I said trying to find a piece about Black women was because the Me Too, before it was a movement, it was created by a phrase created by Tarana Burke, who's an African American woman. Mm-hmm. And I felt like being the only Black woman on the program, I had to sing something that was representative of a Black woman's story and experience. And so that's why I said I just want to clear that part up. But again, it goes back to what we're saying, not, with all the new works and all the things that we're doing that have been happening already, in America, but the time of singing about this relevant, straight to the core, hard subject matter on the lyric stage, right? In the lyric theater, is something that that experience is not for everybody, right? Not everyone gets it, right? And even now we're like, how do we go back into the theater? Sing about these things when COVID.
Right. COVID and a lot of things that the theater is going through, right? How do you also said that in a conversation we had over text, or maybe it was over Messenger recently. Once you start unpacking that suitcase, how do you put everything back in? Mm-hmm. How do you go back to business as usual? I mean, we still don't have business as usual, but what will it be like when we go back? I wonder. I mean, another thing about that concert that stands out for me is how you used your position on that concert to commission this work specifically about Black women's experience, and to also have a Black woman wrote the words, a Black woman wrote the music. Mm-hmm. And that in itself is remarkable within the sort of repertoire. I mean, it certainly isn't singular, but it's way more remarkable than it should be.
Right.
in terms of things that get performed. So you are singing now and you have got artistic positions in a couple of companies. Do you see programming and casting beginning to respond to the kinds of things that came up during these couple of years?
I do. And I think, I got asked this question by Mark Skorka, sort of something like this in one of the panels. I'm not giving anyone any, pom poms until for another couple of seasons, and then we'll see. Yes, there have been a lot of change. Is it transformative yet? I don't know. I don't know what are administrators doing it for now, or they're doing it for the to create initiatives, to create the lane where we are going through that stays consistent. I don't know. It's not that I don't have hope for our industry. I've been in it long enough to know that a lot of people are more comfortable doing the way we all were trained to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And and I feel like we have to continue to push, like, not just people who look like me, but everybody else,
Yeah, like everybody work at it.
like
And
everybody.
and that's
Yeah.
thank you, Dylan. Jamie Barton is amazing in recital, like, no lie.
Yes.
Katrina. So yeah, I feel like from my vantage point, like being an old, like I think I'm officially an old, but I have more hope than I've ever had, just because the pace of change and the demands, particularly of social movements and pandemic combined, have felt so significant and resulted in some things that are definitely different than what I've seen in my life. But yeah, you're so right. This is the beginning. It's the beginning of a trajectory that has to continue and continue with alacrity and energy.
Yes.
And so it does feel like we're kind of standing on a threshold, right? Like, as we go back, is that going to be the moment that the sort of big weight of it at large kind of goes, oh, okay, that's over? Or are we gonna, like, keep on going?
Yes, exactly. It's like when somebody in our group falls and you got to pick them up, because we got to keep going. It has to have that kind of momentum and energy. And when you've seen people out there who have been in the forefront, I think that there needs to be another swarm, another group of artists who now pick up the mantle of other people who have been kind of doing this kind of work and doing these things, and so it continues to have the life and the energy and the new ideas. It's important for all of us to support one another.
Totally, and not just be like, oh, look at those people out there doing that work.
Right. Right, exactly. And benefiting.
In there. Yeah.
Great. Like, oh my God, you guys are working so hard and benefiting from the work of other people, and the people putting their own careers and their everything on the line for change, and not necessarily always seeing the benefits, but that other people do. And so I think it's important that we just support each other. But I want to talk to you about, because I have to say, Kathy, the singers who work with you adore you. They love you. They like Angela said, I love Kathy, and people who have crossed your path that you have touched. They love you, and I think that we don't get to. And I had Myra on, was the last. Myra was the person. She was amazing. She was wonderful, and we don't get to hear from you all on the other side, or to talk about the importance of the collaboration. And I think it's very important for our audiences and for younger artists coming through to understand all of those things. And I just want you to talk about yourself, okay, and how you came to the piano, and how you came to creating art and classical music.
Okay. I'm like, ah.
I know.
Although that's partially an act. Like everyone who knows me right now is like, girl, you love to talk about yourself. True. So where should I start? Like Born in a Small Log Cabin, or?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I think I grew up in kind of a great circumstance. I grew up in this little town in Minnesota called Northfield. When I was growing up there, there were maybe 10,000 people living there, and maybe 2,500 college students, because there are two small undergraduate colleges in town, St. Olaf and Carleton. Shout out to both of them. So my life was filled with friends who had parents who were musicians. They were choral directors, or they were on music faculty. A lot of those faculty had spouses, which of course back in the 70s when I was a kid, that meant wives, who did, who were the church choir directors and, worked in the schools and the community theaters and stuff like that. So I, like every kid, that was just the water that I kind of grew up in. I didn't have any professional musicians in my family, but I knew a lot of people who were teaching music and playing music. And it just always was something that I knew that people could do. And I thought it was interesting. And I think I got bitten by the theater bug. Apologies to everyone who's heard me say this before, but it's a good story, so I'm going to tell it. I went to my first production ever when I was 7 years old. Northfield Arts Guild put on Oklahoma, and my dad was singing Judd Fry. Curly was the man who would be my high school choir director. Lori was the mother of one of my friends. Will Parker has been my stepfather for the last 20 years. His first wife, rest in peace, was Ado Annie. The guy who did Alibaba a couple years later played Fagin in Oliver, which was the first show I was in the children's chorus. So what I remember about that was that, Dad had done, I think, some musical preparation, which I never would have used that phrase, at home. And like the choir director, Curly, had come over and they had like sung Poor Judd is Dead together. And I had like looked at his music and thought it was interesting. So I knew that everybody in the show was someone that I knew, and I knew that they were going to be telling this other story. But what I remember about that experience is sitting on that folding chair and having that incredible moment of knowing exactly who all those people were. I knew it was like my dad and Mr. Kevel and Mr. Sandstrom, but being completely immersed in the story and just that like incredible disconnect of like, what's real? Like I know that's pretend, but also it doesn't feel pretend right now. I really am into like Lori and Curly and Jealous Judd, and I thought that was amazing. I was also amazed at the woman over at the piano, Donna Paulson, a goddess in my world, who had arranged the piece for the 4 or 5 other musicians who were playing with her. She was like pointing at people from the piano and doing all the playing, and I was like, what's that? How do you learn how to do that? And everybody's looking at her like, when do I come in? Yeah.
She was the queen. Right?
She was totally the queen. Mm-hmm. So I think it was also great to grow up in an environment where a lot of people were doing music on a lot of different levels. So there were like professors, but there were also lots of people who were doing theater or church choir because they loved it. Mm-hmm. And so music seemed like it was supposed to be part of your life in general. And that's something that I find myself thinking about more and more, just like in this stage of my life. So that's how that all started. I started playing the piano and it was great. I played the violin a little while and I was like, oh, I'm responsible for this tuning. But oh no, you're on the piano. I'm not responsible for the tuning.
I love that.
And I went to college figuring that I would be a choral director, but I had a great piano teacher. I thought maybe that would be the thing for a while. But then I started playing for singers and there was no looking back, just that the text, the drama, the story, but also like that great one-on-one, like figuring out a piece together, but also the conversations that arise. Like, what do you think? Do you want to take time? Should we move ahead? What do you think? Like, what does that word in the beginning, like, what does that word mean at all? But then later, like, what do you think the poem means? Does it stand for something else? To this day, I'm not tired of that.
I know. I have to tell you, those 3 days that we spent in Ann Arbor, that I spent at your house, I was, after our days of working, I would go back, and sit and lay in the bed or whatever. And I'm like, more of this. I need more of this. Because, when you get out of school, you get out of the young artist program, and the young artist program, especially those of us who go to the big house programs, it's so much about opera and so much about putting these things on the stage, right? And and you're learning the craft, of course, but when you get out into the world and you're having to put all of the tools together yourself, and then you find yourself with a musician, a wonderful collaborator who is challenging you to have an opinion versus telling you. And when you're a young singer, so much about your education is someone telling you how you're supposed to sing it, someone telling you how you're supposed to feel it, how you're supposed to, take it in.
Yeah. That's kind of the blessing and the curse of one-on-one teaching. And the tricky thing about being a student is that it's a good idea for you to kind of shut up and listen, right? I mean, I don't know what you were like as a student, but for me, I often use like conversation to mask what I was not ready to try. So I'd be like, I'm going to ask my teacher some questions. And my teacher was like, no, we're not doing that. Like, you do the thing you were supposed to have practiced.
Yeah.
So it can be, in the beginning, you don't really know how you sound. You don't really know what you're good at and what you're not good at. So you should like turn all of that down in your own head and like listen to what other people say. But I do think that like in classical music, maybe it's because we put such an emphasis on respect for the past and knowledge of the past and respect for past practitioners, all of which is important. I'm not dissing any of that at all. But it can lead to situations where the bulk of teaching is about, here's the way you do it, or here's the way I want you to do it. And I mean, I felt that too, just as a young coach. Like, do I get to have my own opinion? And like, how do I do that? When is it okay? How do I start that kind of thing?
Right, right. So how does one train a coach? How does one learn how to be a vocal coach?
That's a great question. So one of the interesting things about us is that we tend to show up in our programs with only part of the skill set that we need, because the skill set is so broad. And from practicing with different coaches or like collaborating with different coaches, not everybody has the same kind of superpowers. Like there's a very high general skill level, but then some people have like the language superpower or the amazing pianism superpower or like the talking about voice superpower. Some coaches actually know how to sing.
Not me. Kathy, you can spin a tone or two, girl.
As long as it's in the baritone range, yes. I often, when I went to Maryland, actually, I have to say that I got some of my best training in my first Maryland audition, which was a failure, because I had been playing for the opera at my alma mater, Arizona State University.
Oh, ASU! Woo!
Sun Devils. And it was great. There was a lot of great training there, particularly one teacher, Sylvia Davenport. I have a real, may she rest in peace. She was an acting teacher and a director. But when I went to audition for Maryland, I really didn't understand what it was that an opera house pianist did. I figured like you should play real good and you should know what the words mean. And in that first audition, they were like, here in the right hand of the Barber of Seville finale, what instrument is playing this line? And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And so after about 5 minutes of like answering I don't know to every question, I actually asked to leave that audition. I was like, I'm really sorry. I think I'm wasting your time. And the person in the people in the audition room were Christine Bullen, who used to run the Opera Center, and Patrick Summers, who was like, I don't know, he's like 12 years younger than me or something, but had just been made music director of the Opera Center. But they said to me, listen, this is your time. Like, let's just do this audition. And it turned essentially into a coaching. They told me, like, here's, here when you're preparing this chorus from Carmen, here's what you'll be expected to know. They just kind of, I mean, I had to go away and learn it, but they took that time to give me information. And so that was where I got introduced to the idea of the number of things that I had to have some experience with. I had to understand what conducting was, not just from watching somebody else, but from doing it myself. And I had to have a deeper relationship with the orchestra score and how the words and the drama were reflected in the music. And that takes a really long time to learn. And it's hard to learn too, because you do it in a situation where there's a lot of pressure on you to just learn repertoire because you don't know any of it. So you really feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants for like, I don't know, 20 or 30 years. No, maybe like the first 3 or 4. Just I remember my young training days as just like a constant lifting up to the heights of like, oh my God, I said something that helped somebody. I had a coaching and I helped them with their German and it got better. Or I gave feedback about sound and they changed something technically and it got better. And then I went into this coaching where a famous person was observing me and I had to sight read an aria in Russian, which I do not speak. And so you can spend, it must be this way for, I know it's this way for young singers training too. The more you get good at, the more you realize you don't know. And that can be a real watershed for people, right? That's sometimes when people tap out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm thinking about this time. We were just talking before we went live. Like, I'm learning and I'm doing things that I have not done full force ever in my career or as I was training. And I'm having to now go back and study before I even open my mouth. Like, it's one thing to study, right? The languages, the art, the opera, to listen to them. It's another thing to like curate your own evenings and like study and what that means, and putting yourself in the space of the audience, the space of the artist, the collaborator, because you don't want to pay 90 minutes of music that you hate either. So you know what I mean? Who the hell wants to do that? And like this whole all of the things. And it's like, yeah, I would imagine people were like, you know what, I'm done. I've done all the things, but I get it.
But something I hear in what you're saying is that a big part of your development is being given the chance, right? I mean, sure, you have a lot of work you have a lot on your plate right now, so you have a lot of preparation to do and like study of new things and everything else, but none of that would have the same impact if you were just doing it like, for your own fun in your own house. Yeah. Just being given the chance to try is everything. So part of training a young coach is like, it is giving them the chance to try, just like it's part of training a young singer. And I think part of what there has to be room for is the chance to get up and fail.
Yes.
Yeah. Because all this stuff that I mean, one of the things that is so energizing about this time is that there are so many people. Like we've all been swimming in kind of triage mode and then kind of entering this new paradigm, and now it's like back to whatever it's going to be. So there are more people in our community than ever who are engaged in that sort of like, well, here I go seeing what this is, whether it's like teaching online for the first time or hi, new artistic advisor, curate this, help us cast this. Yeah. And terrifying when you have not done it before, right?
Yes, it sure is to sit in the to sit in a space where they're having conversations, and I'm like, what? Like, you know what I mean? It's the idea of like trying to catch on to the words that you understand, or yeah.
Or the feeling of like, this is where I said I wanted to be. Like, I wanted to be in the room where it happens, and now I am. And like, oh, okay.
Yes, absolutely, all of the things. Or like, I asked for this, and now I got it, and I'm like, I gotta. But also the pressure as a woman to rise to the occasion, you know how that is. That's a whole other conversation, As exactly. But I was talking to Kevin Miller, who I love. He's one of my dear friends. And as we talk about, how we can get more more young people, young women of color, I was like, how does it happen? How does it happen? And he said it happens earlier. So like developing programs where young women, and particularly young women of color, feel like conducting and coaching in all classical music, particularly because that's our genre. But like how we empower that and how we make that happen. Like, and you're there,
Well, I mean, so like part of the broadening of my vision, like my personal vision, like, oh, I thought I saw all the things and I didn't, is just coming to terms with how not diverse my profession is. We definitely have made inroads in terms of gender, and definitely along some racial diversity lines, but like deeply not along others. Mm-hmm. And I still think that in terms of the diversity of experience that is kind of offered to people who are coming up, there's still big gaps there and like lack of equity. So I agree with Kevin 100%. It starts, this doesn't mean that the burden's off like people who do what I do, but the burden starts like back in high school when people are having those conversations with kids that they see who are talented. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever, just to narrow it down to my experience, nobody ever talked to me about conducting when I was in college. And there was this one day where a couple of my studio mates, two guys, were talking about a conducting seminar that they were thinking of taking because our teacher had recommended it to them. And I thought, well, that sounds cool. Maybe that's something that I could do this summer. Mm-hmm. And I went to talk to my teacher and he said, oh, that seminar is not for you. That's not something you would be interested in. And I said, well, I think I probably would be interested in it. And he said, well, that's not the kind of career that you're going to have, though. I mean, conductors have to give up everything in order to conduct. I mean, they can't have families, they can't have children. And I realized in the middle of that I knew that conductors had children. What he meant was, like, you're not going to do it because you're going to be somebody's mom someday. And it really wasn't until almost the end of my master's degree that I started wondering, like, what conversations haven't people had with me because they made a judgment about maybe what I was going to want to do. And then, I mean, I've had a really lucky road through my life, so I have nothing to complain about. But I think there are a lot of doors that just don't get opened, right? Yes. Because like we were just saying, we don't do any of this stuff alone in our house and then just walk out into the street like, I'm a finished musician, use me. We only learn by collaborating with each other, and we only learn by getting the chance.
That's it.
So not only do the chances have to be given, but like the whole business needs to deal with its tendency to shut the door very quickly on people who they consider lucky to be there. I mean, I have definitely seen that happen in my own life. I can think of one very prominent example, and it was a while ago, and I don't want to name this person who I respect a lot, but I saw her leave a position in order to try something new, and she got shot down so hard by not being like great the minute she tried the new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction of people around was kind of like, well, see, she's not up to it, as opposed to like everybody has a learning curve and needs to be allowed that. So I do think that people who are considered to be new in different spaces often have the pressure not only of being new in the space, but of having to like prove themselves very quickly, or be seen as like not deserving to be there. So we need as a, and when I say we, I think what I mean is people who look like me more than people who look like you. Like we have to really see that has been our practice in the business, and change that, because that is going to open that's a big part of opening the door, it's opening the opportunity. Yeah.
I need a drink. Yes. It is true. And you know what? That's a whole word, Kathy. That's a whole word. And if more, can you imagine how different things would be if it was just, if that was practiced,
if it was really practiced. My father said to me once, I told him I thought I had gotten a position that I'd gotten because I was a woman, or that was a major factor in my hiring. And he was horrified at that. He was like, you wouldn't want anybody to hire you just because you were a woman, would they? And I was like, well, sure. Yes, I would. Like I just want the job, and he said, but don't you want to be the best qualified person? And I do think like this idea of excellence and best is a real, that's a real weapon that we use. I mean, excellence is real, expertise is real, being amazing is real. And like individual amazing people, when you're talking about like artists, there isn't another one of you, there wasn't another, Caruso or Kiri Takanawa, or, pick your person. But in terms of picking like the best person, what does that mean? There's, and we're only great in collaboration with each other. Like literally, we don't, if there's anything that the pandemic has brought home, I mean, like we can now attribute all lessons to the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
But it's so clear that nobody achieves anything on their own. Like we all just need each other.
Absolutely. It was very evident very early in the pandemic. For one instance, when everybody was we were hungry for the connection and hungry for us, to get the thing out of us that we were denied, right? Everyone wanted to do the thing because everything was shut off, but we needed to support one another. We needed to be in tune with what everybody was doing. And then the point when we started having conversations around racial inequity, companies and other people needed to be in this space as well to get the information, to get the how can we, do better? Not how can we do better, but how can we survive this time? Because it was very tough for many organizations. But yes, again, and then the idea of collaborating with other artists to just grow your own person.
Yeah. And I mean, you've been such an incredible example of that, like on all of those fronts. And there are, part of what I love is that we're starting to get really skilled at all of these things. Like I have so much respect for everything that everybody tried. Like every bad video made in your living room, every sort of like glitchy Zoom, conversation with like bad lighting and bad sound. Every unsuccessful and frustrating attempt to teach online, like over FaceTime or over Zoom before anybody knew how to do any of that. Because it's through that collective effort that people started to figure out how to do it well. And now a lot of people are able to have constant collaborations like coachings, teachings, even rehearsing recitals, hundreds of miles and even continents apart from each other. And people are figuring out what kind of performance lands and resonates well in the virtual space.
Yes.
And
Oh, yes.
yeah, like people are making amazing stuff. Like, but again, it's only that collective effort.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So
absolutely. And you get them people giving you the opportunity to do it, all these film and all these movies and all the things that are happening, you have to
well black. That was so cool.
Thank you. Shout out to the Yakins for making that beautiful film. I want to also speak about you have an amazing, I don't even know what you call it, but I remember when Ian Gordon came on Combos and he was reading poetry. And he talked about the power of poetry, and we just, again, you learn these songs, especially the leader, the things that are, are a whole other thing. Like the leadership song, all these things, you learn the poem and you sing the songs, but to really take the text and embody it in a way and how he was reading it. And then I go to Instagram and Kathy's got a whole series. And please talk to us about, and what is it called?
It's called breakfast poetry now. It used to be called, of course, like Corona poetry or COVID. It had some pandemic name, right? Like,
right.
So it started during that time. I think the first one I read was like the second or third day of the shutdown, and it was literally in that moment. Do you remember that week? Of course, we all remember that week from like, oh, I think maybe some stuff's going to get canceled, to like, oh, I think we might like not come back to school for a couple of weeks, to like, okay, there aren't going to be any fall seasons. Like, just like the earth slipping out from under your feet. So I think I like did something cheesy, like read a Shakespeare sonnet on Instagram or Facebook or something. But in that spirit of just like, hi, I'm in my apartment and I love you guys. Here's the thing. And instead of getting on Instagram and like crying, I'll read some Shakespeare for you. And I did it for a little while, and then I stopped because I was like, okay, I'm just like, looking in my own camera every morning. That's cool, but maybe I could stop doing that. And after a couple of months, a colleague at CCM came up to me in the hall, which was rare because only a few of us had decided to come back into the building. Mm-hmm. And she said, when are you going to start reading poetry again? And I was like, oh, did you pay attention to that? And I realized that there was like a very, very small army of people who had. So I just started doing it again in kind of the same spirit that we play a lot of music, right? Like I didn't make the music, but I like making it sound through my fingers. Like I didn't write this poetry, but I love sharing great words that other people wrote just in the morning. So I figured I needed my little social media brand. So I made it breakfast poetry. I like wake up and look terrible and I have a cup of coffee and I drink it and then I like read a poem.
I love it. Listen, I look forward to when you post them on Instagram and you keep them on, and then I can scroll by and see something, go back and hear something again that
people send requests. It's fun. This month has been all song lyrics, which gives me a chance to read Joni Mitchell. So, yeah, it's really fun. Writing has become more a part of my life over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I mentioned that Jenny Cresswell is listening, and oh, Fred, hi, Fred. Oh,
I want you to see that. Yeah,
from San Francisco. Oh my gosh. So Jenny and I are about to do, we're about to film a piece called Interstate, which actually circles all the way back to that Sparks and Wiry Cries concert. Mm-hmm. Because on that concert with us was Kamala Shankaram, who performed. She sang, she played accordion. She was, a genius, of course. So Jenny and I wrote the libretto for this piece and Kamala composed it for us. And Minnesota Opera is going to release it as part of their digital season. So we're filming it in a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that's all these things that all these things that happened because just the force of continuing your career stopped. And I'm interested to see for myself, but also to see for so many other people, what is happening in your life now because you took the time during the pandemic to decide what you wanted to do, and also what's happening in your life because you simply panicked at the beginning of the pandemic and like did something. And I'm definitely just a do something person, like under stress, like, I need some activity. I'm going to read some poetry. Kamala to write an opera for me.
And what I didn't know is that you have there. Speak about that other piece that you I think you wrote the text to it, or you found the story. It was a whole big. I'm trying to remember. I think it was one of your first projects you started to do, and you did was it a fundraiser to support it, or?
You might be talking about Interstate.
Is it Interstate? Okay.
This is we didn't need to do fundraising for it because Jenny, my partner, is like a magical grant writer, and just like there's this superpower that she honed. Well, I mean, one of the many that she honed during the pandemic. She was like, apparently, when I write about my projects, people offer to give me cash, and so that happened. But yeah, I think this must be that same. Or like the memory is failing and I don't remember what.
That's okay. I remember us talking about
if that's true,
or getting an email or something. But anyway,
I'm pretty sure this is Interstate because that has been sort of the like focus of the last year. It kind of went from Jenny and I were interested in making a story about. We wanted to do specifically a story about prostitution because that topic in opera is kind of loaded. Like two of the most popular operas for the last 100 years are Traviata and Butterfly, which are literally opera about women who are sold for sex. But that's not the way we think about them. We think of them as like triumphant stories of amazing women, and both are true. Like they could be true at the same time.
Yes.
But we wanted to write a piece involving prostitution that told a different story. So this is the maybe not to be programmed at Thanksgiving story of a woman who's in prison, murdering several of her clients, and her childhood friend who starts writing to her. So yeah, that was the project. We like wrote this libretto and read it for a bunch of people. And I think you might have gotten that email because I think you were in the group of people that I asked to the original libretto read.
Yes. I think so. Yes. Oh, I think that's a fabulous story.
And you were like, I'm on 87 panels. I'm on 87 panels and I'm having art created for me. So like, I don't think I can do it.
Literally. It was.
Yeah. But I mean, it just like happened. Like we asked Kamala, she wrote it. And now like this whole thing is happening. It's great and terrifying. You talk about new stuff. Like hello, Myra.
Hey, Myra, we were talking about you.
Yeah, Myra, the goddess of all things. But yeah, it's like being in a movie. I don't even know, a movie that it's being filmed for performance, but like, I don't know what that is.
Exactly. I'm like, what do I do? Like,
precisely, like look natural. I imagine I'm going to be like Cindy Brady. Did you ever see that episode of the Brady Bunch? She's like on some quiz show, and as soon as the red light goes on in the camera, she's like,
exactly, nothing is happening.
Hopefully, I'm going to do better than that.
What is your part in it, in the piece?
So I play the part of the childhood friend. Like these women are like in middle age now, but when they were kids, they were friends. And essentially, one of them has a really hard life and one of them has a less hard life. And the person with the less hard life essentially like trades up her friends. Right. So, And I think, I mean, I definitely have memories of those kinds of friendships, like from my childhood, when somebody, it's like when you go from elementary school to middle school and you kind of see what the new social hierarchy is.
Mhm.
And you might like dump somebody that you used to hang out with on your street because you think that you can be shinier, or somebody dumps you.
Right,
Um,
right.
so like that happened in their past, and then they kind of go their separate ways. And then one day I turn on the TV and there's like the person I used to play with when we were 12, like in an orange jumpsuit on the news. And so it's like when they start corresponding with one another, when they start writing these letters to one another, what is it that they have to say to each other, and what are they trying to get? Like, what is their responsibility toward each other? Like, what if you had a friend who was in trouble and it turns out later on that you were one of the only things that they had? That's the lens through which we're doing it. And so I have to play that part, and I also have to play the piano. So I like have to play the piano and talk and sing at the same time.
Wow. About a very, very tough subject.
Yeah. So it's definitely for me that moment of this is the cool project I said I wanted to do, and now it's happening.
And you're in it and you can't go back.
That's right.
Yeah. But what a wonderful team, the Minnesota Opera team, to do a piece like that, or create art like that. I mean, that's
Ryan Taylor, and it's Ryan Taylor, and then Ryan McKinney and Tanya McKinney are the lead of the artistic team that's producing it. And yeah, it's a dream, but like it's a big thing when your dreams come true, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It sure is. Or
as you would know, Miss Slack.
Or the dreams you didn't even know you had, and you're like, what? Or you forgot, you forgot.
I know, but there's another thing about just like opportunity, right? If you can get into a situation, if you can create situations for people where people are brave enough to say, like, here's my crazy idea, I mean, then suddenly there are people around who are like, let's do that. And then suddenly it starts to happen. But you can't make any of it happen yourself.
No.
So yeah, that's definitely where my head is, like how to create and broaden that community. And it starts, like you said, so early.
Mm-hmm.
Just opening doors. Opening doors.
That's it. And when you see, my dad was a basketball coach for 50 years. And when you see young people, young talent, young potential, you have to encourage it. You have to support it. And I mean, I know, the Lord knows, I had that from day one. So, yeah, it is important and to know that you are, every time you go out and you do the thing, somebody sees you and is inspired by you, and that you do change lives. We forget that because it's damn hard what we do.
Yep.
It's damn hard to do it, to study it, to leave your home, to go, to continue to support yourself, and to continue. It's beautiful what we do, but it's damn hard. And then you get lost in all of that. And then when you get out on the stage and you're doing the thing, and and some kid or some person is looking at you and they're inspired and moved by what you do, and their life is changed from that, that's 90 minutes that they spent with you. And then it doesn't matter that it was hard.
Right.
And
it's so intense to think about the times that you will never know what you did for somebody, right? I think of all of those people that I was surrounded by when I was a kid, and I never spent time when I was a kid, and I didn't spend time for a long time when I was an adult, thinking, how lucky was I? How lucky that around me there were people who were passionate about music and happy to share it, regardless of where they were, like in the food chain of musicians. Like here's a community theater cast with like a college professor and someone who doesn't have a college degree but loves to sing, and they're like doing the thing together. I didn't think about any of that. I was just like, oh, here are the people that live in my town, and this is what they do together.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a gift and such an advantage. Um, I, I wish I would have put words on that earlier in my life,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely I was always looking up, like towards the next shinier thing, and
Yeah.
kind of not realizing how much I was being borne up by, by people that I took for granted because they lived next door to me.
Right.
And because I mean, I guess that's all complicated, right? If you want to do what you do, if you want to do what I've done, you do have to put your eyes on the prize, and you do have to work your butt off, right? And you can't just kind of accidentally do it. Like, oh, I practiced a lot and now I'm singing Tosca. I mean, you do have to pursue it intentionally.
Absolutely. We, and those people in the combos crew know that I always talk with the analogy about the racehorse, about the blinders, and about the idea that those of us who trained when you're training at the elite levels, right?
Yeah.
It is so much that, but it's not everything. I don't think, does it have to be that? Is that the only way to get to La Scala and Carnegie Hall?
That's such a huge question. Yeah. I mean, what do you think? On a certain level, yes. On a certain level, in terms of like I'm going to practice every day. I'm going to stay at this level of curiosity and engagement. Yeah. In terms of getting to know the wide community that's going to help you get there, since you can't do it yourself, yes. In terms of a lot of what we're grappling with now, which is that chance is so important to me that I'm not only going to have blinders on about my study, but I'm going to have blinders on about difficult and unfair things that I see along the way. Like that I think has to go.
Yeah.
Here's a thing that I considered saying on this program when I was thinking about it today.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a scary thing to admit because I'm a human being and a coward, but when I think about some of the instances of real unfairness and abuse and cruelty that I saw in rehearsals throughout my life, that I, when people got targeted, when people were treated unfairly, often in those situations, this happens in workplaces, it happens in families. People should speak up when they see that kind of thing, but they're often fearful for their own safety and status. They often don't want to make a bad situation worse. They don't, in a situation where you don't know if you're going to have backup, it can be hard to know what to do. But when I think about the best moments that I ever had in the Opera House, when I think about the best performances that I was ever a part of, the most glorious music making that I ever heard, that glorious result wasn't worth it for some of the stuff that I saw people go through. And for a long time, I believed that it was, or that it would be. And it's easy to turn around near the end of your career and be like, oh, I was wrong. I mean, there's something really weak in that. So I just want to own that up front too. But I mean, if that's true, if those kind of blinders are actually necessary for the elite results, then I think we can let the elite results go. And ultimately, I don't believe that blinders about how people are treated are necessary to be elite, because that's another thing that we're proving right now. I think it's absolutely possible to hold up expertise, excellence, huge values, and also work for real fairness and kindness. I mean, it's relatively easy to bully people into what you want or scare them. We see that all the time in the arts and in governments and in families and in friendships. I mean, but it doesn't have to be that way, you know.
No.
But again, like we have to decide that communally, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for saying that, because I don't hear that enough. And I don't hear, thank you for saying that. I don't even need to say any more about that. And we don't have to, again, that is a part of, let's not go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not go back.
Let's not.
In every way. In every way. Let's be better. Let's do better. Let's encourage other people.
And we can, but I love that you use the word encourage. Like I love that. Like, yes, I give the amen chorus to you. Let's encourage each other. That's such a beautiful, beautiful way to say that.
Yes. And I tell people when we talk about, issues around race and gender inequality, I said, you're gonna mess up. No, you're gonna fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you're gonna say some things and you're gonna do some things. And as well, I'm not a scholar in, any of the things that I've been asked to speak about. I sing and I've had my experiences. I've been treated unfairly, poorly, disrespectfully, and kept out of spaces also, in a way. I was like, but I as long as you are doing and trying and being and evolving and from a place of, we're all in this together and we all want to be better, I have to respect that, any mistakes or any bumps or any, inappropriate comment, whatever questions. I said, no question is inappropriate. You don't know, you have to say it. You need to not hold on to it. You need to put it out in the world, and then we need to work through it. But yeah, that's the energy that I'm bringing into the space,
Yeah. And that energy is powerful and like palpable. There's so much possibility in that energy. I hope that's a place where we can have like tons of compassion with each other, like human being to human being, where it can be possible to say to somebody like what you did wasn't good enough. And for somebody to hear that and be like, in that moment, I did the best I could. And I also see that was not what it could have been.
Right.
Like it's hard to talk about opera. I mean, that profession has been the best and the worst as far as I'm concerned for me. Like and I have to count myself like unbelievably lucky within that profession. Yes. I mean, I definitely like didn't get some chances, and I got a lot of great chances and a lot of really lucky breaks. So like, does any person deserve any of it?
Right.
I mean, like, deserve is also another loaded word. Like, all you can do is like do your best and live your life, right? And then try to do the good things as many times as you can.
Absolutely. And if you land in a place, most of the time you land in places you don't even know how you got there, or you don't even know, or you just, I know I feel that way. And a lot of people feel that way. And sometimes you land in repertoire, you're like, how the hell did I get here?
What?
What happened? I mean, I think everyone has that experience, and it's okay to be like, how the hell did I get here? And
right.
I mean, I know that you could conduct, and you are, you teach and you coach at in schools and at University Cincinnati Conservatory. And did you when you were working in an opera house in Europe? You were in Vienna.
Yeah.
Vienna. Is this what you wanted? Is this where you wanted to be right now?
I think I've always, there's a big part of just like golden retriever to my personality where I'm like, like, what? Is that a treat? Is that a squirrel? What am I doing? One of the things that I've really enjoyed about my career is that I have gotten to go a lot of places. And I always enjoyed that. I'm from a little town. I didn't know that I was going to have this access to kind of a big world and like a big net of community. And like, I just dig that so much. It's part of the reason that I dig social media. It's like, look, 100 people that I know on several different continents. Like, I mean, I love that. I love the travel. I love the new experiences. I love going to a new house and seeing what's the same and what's different. I think usually whatever I was doing was what I wanted to be doing at the time, or at least what I wanted to be trying. I also have maybe been no, I'm not going to judge it. I've also been fairly like fine with moving on. I admire people who stick out one position for a longer time, because that's a much more complicated trajectory to make relationships with coworkers and everything over time. I've been that is not something that I've invested in the same way, and probably because it's hard. I mean, like, maybe just to be honest, because it's really hard, and it's not a thing that I did. But I have gotten to see a lot of places. If I had to pick one job that was the most, what the hell am I doing here? That would definitely be Vienna.
I know. When I heard, I was like, hey, please tell the audience what your position was in Vienna.
I was Studienleiterin, which is equivalent-ish to what we would call head of music staff. It's aesthetically, it's very different. So, like, all of the German-speaking people who might hear this, like, I know it's not exactly the same thing. But essentially, the person who kind of heads up that group of pianists and makes decisions about who coaches with whom and what the coaching schedule is and who's playing what rehearsals, and all of that kind of stuff.
And in one of the most important opera houses in the world, by the way.
Mostly in the busiest one. They do 52 operas every year, and it was such an education. It was really hard. I thought I was going to die. But again, like, one of those experiences that came my way where it was like, how do you not do this? You're just going to have, I got to make music in ways and just intersect with repertoire in ways that wouldn't have been available to me here in the United States. And I'm, like, enormously grateful for that opportunity, which literally fell out of the sky. Like, just literally fell out of the sky. So
wow. Amazing.
You know what that's like? There's all this stuff you plan, and then, like, one day something comes out of left field, and you're like, I'll do it.
And then you go, how the hell did this happen? Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like that's kind of the way that you roll too? Just like, do you tend to say yes?
Yes, I do. First of all, I am notoriously always being cast in the same time period. Like, there'll be 3 companies or 4 companies that'll want me at the same time, and I'm like, and I've already said yes to one thing, and I'll really, really, really want to do something else. And I'm not someone that's like, oh, I'm going to cancel this thing to do this thing. Like, that's not my style or whatever. If I commit to something, I'm all in. But yeah, I do. I say yes. Yes, because I want to have every experience. I want to do everything. I want to meet everybody. I want to touch every audience. And yeah, and I'm a Virgo, so I'm like, I'll figure it out. I know.
Same. Did we know that about each other?
I don't think so.
September.
I'm September.
September what?
22nd. I'm cuspy.
Oh my gosh, I'm also cuspy on the other end, August 25.
Oh my gosh, see? Yep. Oh, Virgo, yeah.
My sister has told me more than one time that I'm a Leo who's just, like, never on time. Like, such a Leo that I'm like, I don't need to get there during that time period.
Right, stay away from me. Yeah. I always say my heart, my toughness, my compassion is my Libra, but Virgos are, if we like you, we really, we like you. If you're my friend, if I say you're my friend, it's because you are my friend.
Right. I also, No, go ahead. Sorry.
And if you're not, you are.
Also not a mystery.
Yes.
My husband will sometimes say to me, your face, because like,
I know. I'm like that too. Like, oh my God. Cause and of course you're a singer, so it's even more expressive. So it's like, okay, I have to,
Right. Just
I got to get it together. Virgo's rule. Yes, yes.
I love what you said. I'm a Virgo, so I'll figure it out. I mean, that is 100% me too. Like, okay, I'll do that thing. And then, yeah, then you're like halfway down the road saying, should I have brought, a life jacket?
Exactly. Stressing, complaining, and can't sleep every night. You just freaking out, but no one will ever know because you never let them see you sweat. You never let them sweat. But just inside, you're like, oh God, what's happening?
That's so real. That's so real.
Yes, it is so true. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it.
Lucy. Yes. So the amazing Lucy Tucker Yates knows my sister-in-law, Latonya.
Yeah. Lucy knows your sister-in-law?
So crazy. They're writing buds. They've gotten together through this, just literally on Facebook one day. I'm looking at this comment thread that my sister-in-law started. She lives in Annapolis, Maryland, and Lucy Tucker Yates is commenting on it. I thought, wait a minute, what? How is this a thing? Yeah, so she's another person. This is another thing that excites me, is that more and more people are doing all of the things that they like to do. They're playing an instrument and they're writing words and they're helping to run a company or finance it. That's not something that we feel like we have to try to keep hidden anymore.
Absolutely. Exactly. If the pandemic showed us anything, if you got a skill set, you better tell us, say it loud, because somebody knows what you have to offer, or do it. Just get out there and just do it.
Just get it. Also, I want us to count how many times we have said, if the pandemic showed us anything.
Yeah, we need to trademark that one.
What the pandemic should have showed me was how to do better lighting. That clearly did not happen.
Listen, some days I'm like, who put that makeup on? People would never know that you can be the face. What in the hell? Or any of the things, or that I even could do this. Have conversations. Who the hell knew? But I do love to talk. I'm a Virgo, so
we do.
We love to chat.
Just to say, that happens on the Breakfast Poetry series a lot. When I make those videos, I'll be looking into my phone as I film myself thinking, girl, you look good. And then I look at it later and it's like, oh no.
Yes, honey. I have some of those combos and some of those panels where I'm just like, what in the I literally did one the other day and I was like, the wig was over here and the face and the eyeglasses were over here. I was like, I had given up. I just gave up.
I had one masterclass that I did recently where my hair was a little bit shorter, but I had this whole alfalfa thing going on. You can't see it against this wall, but literally this piece of hair that was right. Wow. All right. Okay. That's fine.
Oh my gosh. Well, Kathy, it has been an hour and 12 minutes and I have loved talking to you, and I cannot wait to see you in person. Tell everybody where you are right now.
I am sitting on the floor of a frat house at the University of the South in Sewanee, Tennessee. I'm at the Sewanee Music Festival, which has singers at it for the very first time. My friend and dear colleague Laura Brooks Rice she came here to live after she retired from Westminster Choir College, and of course, retirement means she's running another amazing program for singers and pianists. So down here with a bomb faculty and bomb students, just singing opera arias and doing chamber music. I get to do Shepherd on the Rock tomorrow night.
Oh.
I know, it's like heaven, on the top of a mountain in Tennessee. It's gorgeous. I got it yesterday. It's perfect. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure everyone's so happy to be back.
It is amazing. It is amazing. Meredith.
Hey.
I love this function where you get to see the amazing people.
Yes, listen, the people, it's amazing. You never know who knows who who gets excited for certain guests and people show up. Like I said, I have my regulars, but like it's so wonderful to see people showing you so much love.
Hi. Have you seen Meredith's like videos of her son?
Yes.
I mean, like that child needs to belong to the world. Meredith, if you're listening, just please keep up the Coop content.
And keep up my Christmas cards every year because I look forward to getting more Christmas cards with the baby on there.
Well, Jorel, let me just say that I'm glad that you quit playing the piano because based on your general talent level, you would have like taken work away from me. So I'm grateful forever then to that Schubert piece.
Hey, Jarrell. Yes.
Just heard him sing an incredible Don Giovanni in. Hey, David. No, Jorel just sang an incredible Giovanni in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Oh, Jarrell, did you post any videos? I know I'm the worst offender with posting things, but my singing. But you got to show something. I'm sure he was that fool. He's a singing fool and just brilliant. A brilliant.
Well, he was cool.
Karen, you took who that? Oh Lord, the baby! I done ruined the child, the baby.
Ruined the child. No,
I think I only cursed one time, but sometimes some days.
The kids will literally never forget. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. So Kathy, what's the future hold for you? Share with us some things you have.
Sure. I'm really super excited about this year. So we film Interstate in a couple of weeks when Sewanee is over. Then it's back to CCM to be back in person with our students. I cannot wait. Got a couple of recitals coming up this year, neither of which I can tell you about yet. Shoot. I'm going to be, I will be assisting on a couple of premieres. I'll be assisting as coach and pianist on the premiere of a new opera by Laura Kaminsky called Find You Right in Dayton, Ohio. And then I'm going to be conducting the world premiere of an opera by Matt Bowler called Fat Pig. It was written for Tracy Cox.
Yes, Tracy was on here. Yes.
I mean, Tracy, yeah. I mean, another queen goddess, amazing person. So yeah, I mean, it continues like piano playing, teaching, conducting, writing. If anybody out there like loves to do all of the things, you like do that. It's so much fun. It's such a fun way to be in this community.
It certainly is. I mean, and everyone like, yes, Latanya, I know they do. They want us to post all the things, and we came through the generation where you got in trouble if you posted things, or people always say, oh, you don't have enough stuff content. I'm like, because I came through at a time when you couldn't do all those things. But anyway, yes, all of the posts, all the things, and there's so many exciting things, and we want to know what everybody's doing so we can support. If we can't support live, we support on the replay.
That's right.
If we can't come, we need to know like how far away people are doing things from where we are, and that we can just go and see them. And I do hope that continues live when we get back to the theater, is more artists showing up to see one another's pieces and their work.
Absolutely. Support.
We have to. When I go and see my friends, I'm always like the most obnoxious, like in the audience.
But like that's so great. Like when you hear the one friend whose laugh or who's like scream during the applause, it's just like, yes.
Oh, I know. I'm like telling people like, why aren't you clapping? Like you need to be clapping loud.
Setting a good example for the rest of the audience. Woo!
Exactly. Making people feel guilty. Like. That was amazing. Hello, so anyway, Kathy, it is such a pleasure. I can't wait to make music with you again. I'm gonna have to find, we gotta figure something out.
We're gonna figure something out for sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much for inviting me to do this with you. I love talking to you, and I love just like watching everything you're doing. You are a shimmering star in the opera firmament, baby.
Oh, I just hope that they remember that when them contracts come. Come on, y'all.
That's it.
Let's get it together.
Wait, the camera's reversed. Send them to her. There we go.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Well, I don't know if anybody had any questions. I've been slacking off on the questions, so I didn't know if people had questions for Kathy before we log off. Yes. Firmament. They're out here just talking, chatting amongst each other. No, you have to come back, Kathy, when you could talk about those recitals and all that good stuff. Anyway,
absolutely.
And let it go. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for coming to Convos as always. Next Thursday, I'm gonna be on vacation. Hallelujah.
What? Where are you going?
We're going to California. We leave on Sunday. We're going to Sacramento.
Okay.
One of my dear friends is having a 50th birthday party. Yes, I'm getting to be like normal people where I can dance and I can shout and have fun and kind of like not think about, singing or anything like that because I'm around, civilians. So I talk about opera, But ideally, people who don't do what we do love to hear about our profession, of course. So we'll be there for a couple weeks, and then I'm doing this wonderful project with the composer Hannibal Lacumbe.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which I'd love Hannibal to come and talk. But it's based upon it is going to take place in Africa Town. There's this town in Alabama called Africa Town.
Okay,
and it was founded by the last enslaved Africans who were on the last slave ship.
Wow.
Yes, brought over,
Right.
And so, so this piece is dedicated and will happen in that town. So, Hannibal will call you and say, I need you to do this thing for me. And and then he'll tell you about it. And you're like, oh my God, of course I want to do it. So anyway.
Is it just for you or is it for a group of people or?
It's myself, Roderick Dixon, a fantastic tenor.
Okay.
And I think there's another singer or musician, I'm not sure. And I'm hoping Hannibal plays. So he's a brilliant, extraordinary trumpeter. I mean, it's just, he's one of those people where you're blessed to be in the space.
Wow.
Like you feel blessed. He'll say, can you come and do this thing? He loves having us be there, but I feel blessed to be there. So yeah, he's amazing. Wow. So anyway, hopefully he'll come on the Convos so he can talk to us about the piece. But anyway, she's on vacation next week, so I'll be back, y'all.
You deserve it. You have a great vacation.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere, Kathy. Don't log off. Thank you all. I love y'all. They just still bring comments in. Oh, Jarrell has a question. Good Lord. What?
I don't feel as a Northerner that I can speak to this. I would, for myself, I never want grits with sugar. I only want them with bacon and cheese and other such ingredients. But I can't set myself up as an authority. Karen, do you feel like you can speak to this issue?
Yes, butter and salt. Get out of here. Anyway, I'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.